Comics, people out of thousands of people. In a world called Tianzhang continent, where everyone cultivates immortals, every family has immortals. Our main character's name is Dike Feng. Only play 2 Tien game for 90 hours continuously. But to be transported to this world of cultivating immortals. Fortunately, like other immortal cultivators, he received a system when he first traveled through time. It claims to be the great savior that every time traveler wishes for, the Golden Hand system. Handsome big guy president. The martial god system is unparalleled. All skills can be compared to the gods. Dike Feng dreams of being able to practice magic, destroy the Sect in the mountains, collect 10 harems, and play until he is paralyzed. Next, the system gave Dike Feng a 600 square meter dojo as a newbie gift. Although this martial arts hall is a bit dilapidated, Dike Feng believes that his path to cultivating immortality can now begin. It's just that the system and Dike Feng have a slightly different frequency. It doesn't understand what Dike Feng is talking about cultivating immortals. If you want to cultivate immortality, you need to have spiritual roots. As for leprosy, it's full. The system uses the excuse that the wife gave birth to a baby and runs straight, leaving Dike Feng frozen for a long time, wondering if he had been tricked or not. After getting tested, only then did he learn that his spiritual roots were as desolate as his crush at the end of the world. In this world, no matter how useless, a person must have some spiritual roots. But Dike Feng became the first person in this world without spiritual roots. Cultivating immortals in this life is considered unlucky for you. For 5 years, Dike Feng went everywhere to check the spiritual roots of Zhongbin City. But the result is only one sentence: waste without spiritual roots. The dream of fighting monsters and rising to the next level to dominate the world and standing at the top of the world has come to an end. Leprosy can only live the life of a salty fish. So Dike Feng decided to open a bookstall to trick his disciples. While he was lying there blaming God for pitying himself, a cute girl came. I saw Dike Feng selling books that I had never seen before, so I was very interested. Realizing that the other person is a monk with money, Dike Feng's style changes 180 degrees, becoming a person free from worldly dust. But unfortunately, in the eyes of his kind, big and beautiful sister, he is just immortal, nothing more, nothing less. Seeing that the two of them were planning to go to Dike Feng, they used all their tricks to deceive, praising the girl as a pure-blooded, exceptionally gifted girl with a talent for practicing martial arts that was hard to come across in thousands of years. The little girl was so convinced that she decided to buy a copy of Master Ma's book Mixed Elements, Forms of Meaning, Light Dian Tien. The sister saw Dike Feng's trick and forced her to leave. But the girl insisted. No matter what the mountain mon is in danger of, no matter what her noble status as a monk is, she is still determined to buy it. Not until she turns into a level 3 supergiant. Then my sister gave in and bought me a book. But when she got the book, she only paid a few coins, which made Dike Feng very bitter and wanted to beat her until her butt bloomed. Leaving the city, the little girl boasted to her sister that the book she had just bought had positions she had never seen before. Thinking that this was an obscene cultural product, the sister decided to examine it for a while. Unexpectedly, as soon as I opened the book, my eyes widened. The book gave her the feeling of 1,000 years of loneliness. It's like being crowded in a sea of people on a holiday. There was something that wanted to fill the void in her body, making her realize that it was pure martial intention. Please don't think wrongly, a breakthrough feeling runs through my sister's body. I can't explain how stimulating that feeling is. Everyone can see pictures to let their imagination run wild. No matter how long she practiced without results, just looking at a page of mortal paper made her break through as a martial artist in the blink of an eye. Even her junior sister broke through several levels in a row, truly a Canadian magician. Sister thought of a possibility. Dike Feng was the legendary Chow Chow. So my sister wanted to go back and report this matter to her master. Lan Tuet's master is Luke Tan's son, head of Tan Sun Sect, martial spirit realm. He is currently chasing an injured monster, but just as he was about to deliver the finishing blow, the monster was slashed to death by another person. There was also a domineering voice resounding, "Green Mountain, I killed the demon beast, thank you for your efforts, so that I can get one step ahead of you without any effort." The brazen and shameless robber still spoke as if it were obvious, causing Luke Tan's son to shout angrily. Our Tan Sun sect besieged and killed this monster for several months. The deaths were miserable. You came to pick up the city again. Do you talk about martial virtue? The person just now is Nin Huin Mart, the founder of the Xian martial sect, who has broken through the realm of martial king. He continued to taunt, "Come and do whatever you want, I don't mind sending you off for a while," before officially saying goodbye. "Where's the martial arts?" Realizing the opponent's state, his face was as green as a frog's ass. He knew he was about to explode. Nin Huinvu pointed his finger straight at Luke Ton's son and said, "If you can defeat me in the death match 3 days later, I will spare your sect a way to live. But unfortunately the Ton Sun sect will eventually be banned. Our martial arts sect kills all and swallows all. In front of people with higher strength than us, Luke Ton Mountain can only grit our teeth and endure." The danger Ton Sun Mon encountered was transmitted throughout the city of Binjung. The girl telling the story also felt a sense of danger. The news of the monks' conflict had failed to interest the idle people in front of her. Perhaps she was about to become unemployed. Indeed, the audience was extremely bored. Everyone felt that this case was nothing worth looking forward to. In contrast to the calmness in Binjung City, Ton Sun Mon is currently as hot as fire burning in the ass. The disciples felt that there were only a few days left for the duel, so what was the use of just practicing a few moves now? A disciple angrily scolded, "Shut up, I've been following my master for more than 30 years. He has always been indomitable and unwavering when faced with danger, never backing down. The more he faces hardship, the more violent his will becomes, like iron and steel." Hearing that, Luke Ton's son couldn't help but cry loudly. How could he defeat Nin Huinmart now? He had been in the martial spirit realm for many years and had never successfully broken through. While he still didn't know what to do, the female disciple's voice rang out. Disciple Lan Tuet had something important to ask of the master. Luke Ton's son immediately adjusted his mood and returned to being a cold, high-ranking sect leader. After listening to the disciple's presentation of Luke Ton Mountain, I couldn't believe it. What a breakthrough from reading the book. What a peerless master. Being a disciple of Ton Sun's sect, not focusing on cultivating and breaking through, and being deceived by the people in the mountains, he is really stupid as a bitch. Facing Luke Ton's son's anger, Lan Tuet still calmly advised. He also said that if it doesn't work, you can punish him however you want. Luke Ton's son had to open the book to try his luck. Who would have thought that as soon as he opened the book, a powerful force slapped him in the face. In front of him suddenly appeared the sunset on the steppe. Luke Ton's son realized he was in his own world of consciousness. During this time, instead of saying that he was cultivating in seclusion, it would be better to say that Luke Ton's son was running away from pressure to fight against the Xian martial sect. Well, when he became the sect master, no one had beaten him for many years. But now Luke Ton's son felt like someone was repeatedly whipping him with a whip. A pillar of light pierced the roof and flew straight into the sky, scaring the Qingshan disciples to death. Dike Feng was lying down eating noodles. Feeling so jealous, the noodles in his hand were no longer delicious. After a moment of surprise, Luke Ton's son realized that he had broken through to the realm of martial arts kings. The old man crowed confidently, "Let's change the wind and destroy the mysterious martial sect." He felt that the person who could easily draw a book containing such great martial intention must have an unfathomable depth of cultivation, so he wanted his disciple to take him to visit him. Lan Tuet remembered what she had said to Dike Feng at that time. It could be said that it was both overbearing and arrogant, and it was possible that she had offended that great man. Now that we meet again, will the other person get angry and destroy her mountain gate? Dike Feng's face was now filled with murderous intent. The whole person emitted an extremely dangerous aura that could kill anyone at any time. In fact, he was just stewing tamarind to add meat to his hot pot. The techniques of mortals in this world were completely unusable. It was very difficult to trick a stupid monk into spending a gold coin to buy books. You can exchange a pound of beef for hot pot. However, when Dike Feng was extremely looking forward to his hot pot, there was a chase on the street that was no different from Too Fast and Too Dangerous Part 10. It was a stray dog that stole someone's meat. But what everyone doesn't know is that he is the wolf prince of the demon world, a realm equivalent to a martial spirit. Because he was harmed by his fellow clan, his spiritual energy was almost exhausted, so he fell into this situation. The puppy saw ahead that there was a mortal who dared to block its path. Even though its spiritual power was currently weak, killing a defenseless mortal was still as easy as eating porridge. But when the puppy takes action, I don't understand why the enemy discovered me and grabbed my head. I don't understand why the enemy discovered me and grabbed my head. The puppy felt that his spiritual energy seemed useless to the person in front of him. Yet this person still said it was a stupid dog. The puppy's pride soared. How could a mere mortal dare to insult it like that? It angrily unleashed all its strength, but the result was only to knock over the hot pot that the epidemic had been waiting for so long. It felt extremely terrified because its attack had no effect on this mortal in front of it. What did the other person do? His whole body trembled. Was he scared? Ridiculous, how could it be afraid of a mortal? Even when surrounded by 5 martial spirit realm monks, it was not afraid at all. But facing this evil mortal, he couldn't help but tremble. Dike Fong was now extremely angry and said to the puppy, "The lovely baby looks very delicious." The puppy was so scared that he fainted on the spot. The Luke Ton Sun group of people also flew over and saw everything. At this moment, there was another child holding his wound and walking down the street. It turned out that he did not have spiritual roots, so he was chased away by Ton Sun Mon. The child could not help but knelt down and cried extremely bitterly. He accepted the expectations of the people in the village and went to Ton Sun Mon to practice immortality, but he did not expect that he could not even enter the door. Suddenly a concerned voice rang out, "That girl of yours is trying to steal my meat. If you want to eat, you have to pay. Even though my grilled meat is famous everywhere, even if you call me father, I can't share it with you." The child angrily rushed to the place where the room was. "Don't talk nonsense, even if I starve to death, I won't eat your meat. I say it, but the smell of grilled meat wafts into my nose and I can't stand it." The child threw away shamelessly and rushed to grab the grilled meat in Dike Fong's hand and ate it greedily. While eating, he did not forget to say, "I told you I won't eat your food, I will only eat what I stole." The next sentence is admin, say it yourself. Dike Fong was just a little surprised, then regained his composure and asked, "Was your girl kicked out by Ton Sun Mon?" Only then did Trung Ton regain his composure. Was she acting so clearly? Besides, she was a boy. Dike Fong continued to grill meat. "Such a beautiful hairstyle. Don't become an idol, just go to become an immortal. This country has institutional problems." That's what he said, but actually because of Dike Fong, he couldn't cultivate immortality, so he sympathized. He threw Trung Ton a key and said, "You have nowhere to go. I just found out that we lack a maid. This is the key to the dojo." After speaking, Dike Fong immediately ran to buy things and told Trung Ton to come back and look after the martial arts hall. Trung Ton was extremely bewildered. He had not yet agreed to be an errand boy for the other party. Why doesn't this person listen to what others say? But being able to find a job in Binjong City is good. Your parents at home will also have some peace of mind. Half an hour later, Luke Ton Sun and Lon Tuet arrived at the martial arts hall. The 2 young men secretly shouted at the door but found no one. What caught their eyes was an elegant garden with quaint statues. Luke Ton Sun discovered that the paintings on the wall contained extremely strong martial intent. A voice suddenly rang in his head. "I'll take you guys to fight back. People stabbed you. Don't hit me anymore. My locker is moving." Although Luke Qingshan did not understand, he could still deeply feel that this was definitely a magical tactic. These martial intentions seemed to be teaching him what sectarian disputes were. Who was strong and who was evil? Weakness is nothing more than smoke and clouds passing by. Luke Ton Sun clasped his hands together to attain enlightenment and became a Buddha, causing Lon Tuet next to him to almost lose his eyes. Trung Ton then walked over with a feather duster and asked if the 2 were guests or something. Luke Ton Sun smiled shyly and introduced them as people of Ton Sun Mon. As soon as he heard the 3 words Ton Sun Mon, Trung Ton was immediately startled. Could it be just because of sneaking into the mountain gate that Ton Sun Mon's people came all the way here to take him back? Trung Ton knelt down in fear and begged them to spare his life. He's so skinny that it's not enough for him to feed the dog. Luke Ton Sun and Lon Tuet didn't understand what was going on and wanted to reach out to help Trung Ton. But Luke Ton Sun suddenly felt something was wrong, quickly stopped Lon Tuet and whispered, "Lon Tuet, Don't be rude, Senior is also someone you can support. I once heard that Buddha also has a Western god who will use his despised human status to test his followers. That being said, could it be that this girl in front of her was sent by that Senior to check on them? What she holds is a chicken feather broom. This object has the effect of sweeping dust. Sweeping away dust means sweeping away impurities. Only by eliminating impurities can one achieve righteous results. So this is definitely the first challenge that the master wants them to overcome. Today we must let the master know their sincerity. Trung Tan doesn't understand what the hell he's deducing. Untainted with all the dust, eliminating impurities. Some people were holding buckets, others were holding brooms, rushing to clean as if they were going to fight the enemy. Trung Tan couldn't understand why these two Tan Sun monks didn't play their cards as usual. At nightfall at the dojo's pavilion, after knowing that the other person had come to pay for the books, he forgave them and invited the two of them to stay for dinner. Then he asked Trung Tan to go make dog meat hot pot. Although I can't see through Yifeng's cultivation level, I rely on the opponent's sword technique. Looking at the cooking ingredients, it was a rare sky-devouring demon wolf in the demon race. Luke Tan Sun could roughly guess that the other party was not ordinary. Lan Tuet was worried what would happen if they ate that dog and the demon clan came to take revenge on them. Could it be that he spent his whole life avoiding the enemy's pursuit? Luke Qingshan whispered, I'm afraid the people who dare to do this are not only in the martial emperor realm. One must know that in the chaos of the gods and demons that year, the demon wolf clan used the strength of one clan to prolong the attack of 30,000 Buddhas to give the defeated demon clan a space to survive. Faced with the risk of becoming a dog hot pot, the puppy immediately burst out with all its strength, just to kneel down and ask the translation to give him a way to live. Seeing the puppy obediently submit to Daik Fong, Luke Tan Sun could only open his mouth in surprise. At the last moment, he was able to spare the demon wolf's life. How kind of heart this nobleman had. Luke Tan Sun felt that borrowing a divine weapon from Daik Fong should not be a problem. This knife just now gently shocked the demon wolf's realm, equivalent to a peak martial spirit. Lan Viet suddenly offered to borrow a machete to help the sect escape the situation of destruction. Daik Fong hasn't had time to answer yet. Then Luke Tan Sun pressed the snow orchid's head to the ground. Stupid, you showed your greed like that. If you reveal your greed like that, what if your senior is not happy? Daik Fong in their eyes at this time was like a fierce god coming. But the reality is like this. He gave the knife to the two people and said, borrowing is not worth anything. Seeing them so surprised, Daik Fong added, if I take this kind of knife, I can make a few of them in a day. Luke Tan Sun's trembling hands held the knife. Looks like heaven won't destroy our Qingshan Mon. Daik Fong thought to himself, how pitiful he is to be so poor that he can't even buy a knife. Nin Huinmart is dead for sure. At this time in Huinvo Sect, the master's retreat has ended and everyone quickly prepares food. Huin Martial Patriarch Nin Huinmart, there's no need to quickly bring the Qing Mountain Sect's executioner here. I want to see him. Everyone else retreat. A moment later, in the secret room of the Xian Martial Sect, Yu Jia, an admired and longtime senior of the Xian martial arts, greeted him. Stop writing and have nothing to say. Today, this subordinate came here to talk about what happened that you were worried about before. Not long ago, Tan Sun's ancestor entered the realm of martial arts kings. Even though he heard the bad news, Nin Huinvo still smiled and said, how could he expect that I had already entered the realm of martial arts kings for more than 30 years? To me, he was just a toddler. If it was just this little matter, you wouldn't come here all night, would you? Let's get to the point. Today, Tan Sun Laoni quickly returned from outside to summon all his disciples to the square. None, it's already so late and yet you're still calling us to gather. What's wrong with you, master? I don't know. I just said it was testing Tan Sun Mon's new magic weapon. Tan Sun Mon's elder Chuvan replied loudly, I don't want to pay attention but this shirt just caught my eye and I don't know where to buy it. It's beautiful. Position. The god stone passed down by Qingshan Sect's ancestors was extremely hard. Even if it was hit by a divine weapon, it would only leave scratches. The disciples who were chatting loudly saw Zhou Yun coming and quickly greeted them. At this time, Luke Tan Sun is squeezing his butt muscles and flexing his ass muscles, holding an old knife in his hand, standing in front of the jewel. Chu Van shouted angrily, what could he do with a chopping knife? Some of the disciples were surprised, some sighed. The master was under too much pressure because he was sick and took the wrong medicine. Luke Tonsun was extremely angry. Those damn people dared to speak sarcastically right in front of him, a group of white-eyed wolves. But I don't know the power of this knife, so I can only give it a light touch. When Luke Tonsun lightly touched the knife to the godstone, the rock looked like it had been bombed. It exploded as if it had never been exploded before, and the surrounding architecture was also damaged a lot. Tonsun Mon is like experiencing a meteorite impact. The explosion's soil, rocks and trees were thrown all the way to Binjang City. The middle spirit held the puppy in his arms and smiled. Happy dog, look at the majestic meteor shower. Angry puppy barking, woof, meteor shower, your mother's brain is given to you. This kind of pressure and strong martial intent is absolutely a peerless divine weapon. Since when did these monks have it? Dike Feng in the room also widened his eyes in surprise. It's rare to see a shooting star. Dike Feng quickly clasped his hands together to pray. He wished that even if he sat idle, he would have countless harems, million-dollar wealth, clothes to raise his hands, food to open his mouth, and thousands of words of prayer. The Qingshan Sect disciples still haven't recovered. What the hell is this? The majestic martial arts master Tonsun Mon has been saved. Just now, Luke Tonsun only tried it a bit, not yet used the power of the knife, yet it already has such power. Luke Tonsun feels it is truly magical. But until it's time for help, he doesn't want to take it out and use it. After all, this knife is not something that Luke Tonsun can control. I guess the person who can create this knife must be of a martial arts level or higher. After thinking carefully, Luke Tonsun turned back, raised the knife and told the disciples that the day after tomorrow we will fight to the death with Huin martial arts. Nin Huinvu knows that with Luke Tonsun's talent, it is impossible to break through so quickly. There is a possibility that there is someone behind to help. Seeing Nin Huinvo said nothing, Nuoi suggested that they should do something. Nin Huinvo threw Du Qiet an antidote pill, said that this was his reward for reporting the news. If everything succeeds, he will return freedom to the opponent. When going outside, Nin Huinvo said to a girl standing outside the door, Lin Ni, we're here to look for seeds. Xian Martial Sect, female disciple, spirit demon child. She made a very seductive pose. I can't wait any longer, master. Then in the sword race, senior brother, when the master was still alive, told us that we absolutely cannot release the sword soul in this sword race. Don't say much more, open it for me. This is what I said, don't regret it. But before I could do anything, the seal on the door couldn't stand it and wanted to break. Countless unjust souls flew out. Wherever it flies, the plants and trees wither and the animals are devoured. With the power brought by the sword, Nin Huinvo is confident that he can kill Tonsun Mon. Even if the opponent has a master backing them, they can also make the opponent irreversible. Due to a war between two sects, Binjang City is now completely out of medicine. There were only 4 hours left until the final battle, and they didn't know what to do. Fortunately, all the people in the city had fled, otherwise the echoes of the battle would have been enough to tear them to pieces. But what they didn't know was that the people of Binjang City were not hiding but were going to see what happened. Not only that, Dike Feng also works as a tour guide and grocer. Although he didn't know who was fighting, there were quite a few people who wanted to take a peek. This was truly a once-in-a-lifetime business opportunity. Moreover, from this position, he could rent them binoculars to watch the battle, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. At this time, down below was filled with the smell of gunpowder. Luke Tonsun, I didn't expect that you still had the courage to come to the meeting place. Who will die and who will live today is unknown. The two quickly rushed at each other, before Luke Tonsun was punched by Nin Huinvo. The disciples wanted to run to support their sect leader. Then Luke Tonsun stood up and said no need. He didn't expect that the realm between the two of them would be so far apart. If he hadn't broken through early, he probably wouldn't have been able to survive half a round right now. Knowing what Luke Tonsun was thinking, Nin Huinvo told the opponent to take out his magic weapon. Even his killing blow was known to the enemy. Luke Tonsun did not know what to do. But Nin Huinvo didn't give him a chance to think and immediately took out his soul-devouring sword. With just 10 years of life lost, the soul-devouring sword can devour the spiritual energy of any weapon. The weapon under the holy item in front of it was just like a vegetable knife. What they didn't expect was that the other person actually used a knife to chop vegetables. The Shen martial sect group had a laugh. The Qingshan old ancestor was at the end of his rope, using a vegetable knife to fight against the soul-devouring sword. Luke Tonsun was forced back to the cliff by Ning Huinvo, losing 9 points in terms of momentum. At this time, Luke Tonsun is no longer afraid of losing. What he is afraid of is that if this knife is discarded by the soul-devouring sword, how will he face Master Yi? Suddenly, Dike Feng's voice rang in his ears, "Keep going. How can you admit defeat so easily?" Actually, Dike Feng didn't have any encouragement. Just that if they fought that fast, how could his binoculars continue to be rented? How much happiness the next life will have depends on this battle of those below. It's just that Luke Tonsun doesn't understand Dike Feng's thoughts. In his eyes, he only saw the noble Master Dike from above leading countless people to cheer for him. Moreover, just now the other party had sternly urged him. What a noble encouragement this was. Luke Tonsun felt ashamed in his heart. Just now he had shown cowardice in front of the enemy, and almost insulted the honor of this knife. The atmosphere of Luke Tonsun changed 180 degrees. Nin Huinvo did not realize it, still rushing to slash towards Luke Tonsun. When everyone saw that Luke Ton Mountain was about to be swallowed by countless resentful souls, then a deadly stream shot out from the knife in his hand. The aura that destroyed heaven and earth flew everywhere, and Nin Huin Marshall's arm was cut off in one fell swoop. To the surprise of the disciples of the Xian martial sect, the knife's power flow still did not stop. It continued to slash a long line on the ground.